Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys.
Hey guys!
Hey guys.
All right, we're here in lesson 5, which is all about adding and subtracting polynomials. So let's get started with the first example. We have 4x squared plus x plus 7 plus 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. So when we are just adding the polynomials together, we want to remember to combine the like terms. Okay, so what does that mean? I want to find all of the x squared terms and add those together. So 4x squared plus 2x squared gives us 6, and then we keep the x squared. Don't change that at all, okay? Then we look at all of the x terms, just the x terms. So we have x plus 3x. Okay, so remember there's like a little 1 in here. So 1x plus 3x is 4x. Then we're going to look at just the numbers. 7 plus 1 is 8. So our final answer here is 6x squared plus 4x plus 8.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys the next one with this negative sign in here. So before we start, we're actually going to turn this into an addition problem because we're going to distribute that negative to the second parentheses. So I'm going to leave the first guy right here. He is not going to change. So he's going to be 3x to the third power minus x squared plus 8. Now we're changing this to a plus, and I'm going to distribute that negative to everything inside these parentheses. So essentially, it's going to take on the opposite sign. So this is a positive x to the third. It's going to be a negative x to the third. Positive 5x squared, it's going to be a negative x squared because we're multiplying like a negative 1. This is going to be a negative 4x. This is going to be a positive 7. So just like Miss Bartley said before, we're going to go through and find our like terms. I like to go through and do the same thing she did and box those terms. So really, what's in front of that negative x to the third? There's really just an imaginary 1. So we have 3 plus negative 1, which gives me 2x to the third. You're not going to do anything here to the exponents. The next one, we have a negative, there's that 1 there, a negative 1x squared and a negative 5x squared. That's going to give me a negative or minus 6x squared. Now, if you notice over here, we have this 8 that's next, but we have to go in descending order. So I'm going to look in this one down here, and I notice that there's this minus 4x. He has nothing to combine with, so we're just going to go ahead and write him down the way he's shown. So if you see here, I have x to the third, x to the second, and then x to the first power. So that's why it's going to go in that order. Okay, now let's take a look at the next piece. I have the 8 plus 7, which is going to give me a positive 15. And this right here is the final answer for this question.
All right. So the next example, okay, looking at it, is another subtraction problem. 3x squared plus 8x minus 2 times x to the third plus 12. But we see a number outside a set of parentheses. So again, we need to take this negative 2 and distribute it to everything in the second set of parentheses. Okay, so it's essentially like I'm keeping the first group the same and changing the signs of everything in the second set of parentheses. So negative 2 times x to the third gives me a negative 2x to the third. Negative 2 times 12 is a negative 24. So now from here, I go through and combine any like terms starting with the highest exponent. So negative 2x to the third, that's the highest exponent I see. Is there anything to combine it with, Miss Santiago?
No, there is not.
All right, so we just carry it along. Now look for the next highest exponent, which would be this 3x squared. Is there anything to combine that with?
No, there is not.
Okay, so we just carry it along. The 8x. Okay, anything to combine this with?
Nope.
Carry it along. And the 24, negative 24. There's no other, just plain old number, so I carry it along. Okay, so my answer, although we did not have to actually combine anything, this is now the most correct answer because, like Ms. Santiago said, oops, it looks like I forgot something. Like she said, the exponents are in descending order. This is x to the third, then x squared, then x to the first power, then there's no exponent, okay? Descending order for our final answers.
All right, so the next one's going to be a little bit tricky just because if you look at that first parenthesis, he kind of looks like he is just a mess. So we are going to first look and say, okay, we are adding, so there's no distribution of that negative. All right, so let's go through and take a look. We know that we have a 5, a t, and then t to the second power. Which one's going to come first, Miss Barley?
The one with the highest exponent, so the t squared, that negative t squared.
Very good. It is a negative t squared, and there's really that one in front, and there's a t squared over here. So if I were to put that in my calculator, there's a 1 here. It's a negative 1 plus 1, which is going to give me
0.
0. So these actually just kind of cross out. That's kind of nice. The next one, we have a negative t, and really that's like a negative 1 plus 9. Do I need to write that 0 down, Miss Barley? Should I write down 0t squared?
No, you don't have to write that.
Nope, we're not going to write that down. We don't need to write that down. But we are going to write down 8t and then go through. Do we see anything else that we haven't used? This 5 right here. He's a positive, so we're just going to write that down. And this is my final answer. Now just remember, if you end up getting a 0 for something, you do not need to write it down. They just cross off. Okay. Ooh, I gave Miss Barley the hard one.
I'm ready. All right, so looking at our problem, okay, you see how things are in different groups here. I see a plus sign, I see a minus sign, and I also see a number outside a set of parentheses, okay? Well, following my order of operations, I have to do any multiplication first. So I need to take this 6 and distribute it to everything in this set of parentheses, okay? So again, I'm just kind of like cleaning up as I go. So the first group stays the same, 3p plus 1. The second group becomes 6 times p, which is plus 6p. 6 times negative 8 is a negative 48. And then out here, this last group, do you see how it's minus sign? Remember, we also need to distribute that negative, or that negative 1. So the last group becomes minus p minus 2. Okay, so those were the things that we had to change. We had to do some distributing. Now that everything is kind of ready to go here, let's look for any like terms. So, I'm going to find anything with a p in it. So I have 3p, I see a plus 6p, and I see a minus 1p. So what is 3 plus 6, which is 9? 9 minus 1 is 8. So I have 8p there. All right, now looking at my numbers. 1 minus 48 minus 2.
Okay, 1 plus negative 48 is negative 47. And then we're going to minus another 2, which is going to be minus 49.
Very good, Miss Santiago.
I try.
Okay, and is this in the correct order with the exponents and the variables? Yes, it is.
Okay, so maybe she left me with the tricky one. All right, so it says, what is the perimeter of a square with the side lengths 2x minus 3? So the question mark here might be, what does perimeter mean? Perimeter means add up all the sides. All right, so what is the shape that I'm going to have here? We know it's going to be a square. And what do we know about all the sides of a square, Miss Barley?
They're all the same.
They're all the same. Because I was getting concerned I only saw one side here, but what that means is it's this side, and this side, and this side, and this side. So what am I going to do with all of these numbers? I'm going to add them up. So what do I have here? 2x minus 3 plus 2x minus 3. How many times should I write this down?
4. There's 4 sides in a square, so we have to add that 4 times.
Uh-oh, I'm running out of room. But that is A-okay. All right, so let's go through just like we did before and find our like terms. We have a 2x and a 2x and a 2x and a 2x. This tells me right here in the middle what I'm going to do to all of these 2's. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is going to give me an 8x. You're not going to do anything else here with that. It just stays an x. Then the next piece, I have a negative 3 plus a negative 3 plus a negative 3 plus a negative 3, which is going to give me negative or minus 12. So the perimeter of this square is 8x minus 12.
All right, so go ahead, grab your classwork. If you have any questions, let us know. Good luck.
Good luck.